Assalamualaikum dan selamat sejahtera. Anda sedang menonton Niaga AWANI bersama saya Nabilah Khalida, dan antara tumpuan untuk hari ini ialah pengumuman inflasi Januari 2024 oleh DOSM yang insya-Allah akan diumumkan pada tengah hari nanti, dan juga Majlis Perasmian Hub Kewangan Antarabangsa Malaysia TRX ataupun Tun Razak Exchange. Dan juga semalam telah berlangsungnya mesyuarat Majlis Pelaburan Negara bilangan 2 tahun 2024 yang dipengerusikan oleh Perdana Menteri Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, dan ini antara data penting yang dinyatakan dalam mesyuarat tersebut. Kalau boleh saya kongsikan antara data yang disebutkan dalam pelaburan yang diluluskan 2023 ialah jumlahnya sebanyak 329.5 bilion ringgit, dan ini merupakan peningkatan sebanyak 23% berbanding tahun 2022, dan juga jumlah pelaburan diluluskan tertinggi dalam sejarah negara. Dan peningkatan 23% itu kalau boleh kita bandingkan pada 2022, jumlahnya ialah sebanyak 264.6 bilion ringgit. Jadi perbezaannya sekali lagi ialah 23%. Dan ini merangkumi 329.5 bilion ringgit ini merangkumi lebihan ataupun majoritinya ialah pelaburan asing sebanyak 57.2%, dan bakinya 42.8% ialah pelaburan domestik, dan jumlah ini juga merangkumi sebanyak 5,101 projek dan juga menyediakan sebanyak 127,000 lebih peluang pekerjaan, dan itu ialah jumlah pelaburan yang diluluskan untuk 2023. Dan dalam jumlah pelaburan yang diluluskan 2023 ini, kalau kita boleh bahagikan dalam 3 sektor, majoritinya ialah untuk sektor perkhidmatan sebanyak 51.1% ataupun angkanya 168.4 bilion ringgit, dan kedua ialah untuk sektor perkilangan di mana peratusannya ialah sebanyak 46.1% dan jumlahnya ialah 152 bilion ringgit, dan yang terakhir ialah sektor utama di mana sektor seperti perikanan, perhutanan, orang kata perikanan dan juga sektor utamalah kita boleh sebutkan sebanyak 2.8% dan jumlahnya ialah 9.1 bilion ringgit. Dan antara yang dibincangkan ataupun didiskusikan dalam mesyuarat itu juga ialah hala tuju pelaburan digital negara. Kalau kita boleh throwback sikit ataupun imbas kembali pada tahun 2021, sumbangan digital kepada KDNK negara ialah sebanyak 23.2%, dan jangkaan untuk sumbangan kepada KDNK, sumbangan digital kepada KDNK untuk tahun 2025 ialah sebanyak 25.5%, dan kita tahu digital is the future, di mana penting untuk perkembangan negara dan juga pembangunan negara. Dan kalau kita boleh tengok perkembangan sepanjang tahun 2021 sehinggalah tahun 2023, kita dapat saksikan sebanyak 396 projek digital diluluskan dan juga 128.9 bilion ringgit pelaburan digital telah kita saksikan dan juga laburkan. Dan antara itu juga ialah pusat data pengkomputeran awan, kita dapat juga saksikan penghosan data, analisis data besar dan juga kecerdasan buatan. Dan dalam jangka masa ini juga kita dapat saksikan ataupun terbitkan atau ciptakan sebanyak 36,553 peluang pekerjaan, dan ini sangat penting untuk kita ketahui di mana pelaburan ini sangat penting untuk kita menyaksikan pertumbuhan negara dan juga bagaimana ia menyumbangkan kepada KDNK negara. Jadi untuk waktu ini kita nak melihat konteks ekonomi mikro susulan laporan KDNK 2023 yang lalu serta impaknya kepada prestasi FTSE Bursa Malaysia KLCI. Jadi pada ketika ini di talian ialah Imran Yassin Mat Yusof, Ketua MIDF Research. Selamat pagi.
Selamat pagi, Nabilah.
Okey, pertama sekali mungkin boleh Imran beri pencerahan mengenai prestasi KDNK Malaysia dan juga faktor-faktor yang mendorong prestasi tersebut.
Seperti kita maklum, KDNK Malaysia mencatatkan pertumbuhan 3.7% pada tahun 2023, iaitu lebih perlahan daripada 8.7% yang dicatatkan pada tahun 2022. Secara ringkasnya, antara faktor-faktor yang mendorong prestasi ini ialah satu, kesan asas rendah, iaitu apa yang kita panggil low base effect pada tahun 2021 kepada 2022, Ini ekoran pembukaan ekonomi selepas pandemik. Jadi pemulihan ekonomi ini menunjukkan pertumbuhan yang lebih cepat pada tahun 2022. Yang kedua yang lebih penting, prestasi perdagangan luar yang lemah tahun lepas. Ekspor jatuh sebanyak 7.9%, iaitu lebih laju daripada kejatuhan import yang sebanyak 7.6%. Oleh itu, ekspor bersih Malaysia jatuh 11.3%, dan ini disebabkan oleh permintaan yang berkurangan, antara sebabnya permintaan daripada end user atau end consumer, penggunaan terakhir, dan juga daripada segi inventory, di mana syarikat mengurangkan inventory mereka. Jadi ekonomi Malaysia terpaksa bergantung pada satu enjin pertumbuhan, iaitu permintaan domestik. Selalunya pertumbuhan Malaysia didorong oleh dua enjin, perdagangan luar dan permintaan domestik. Umpama kapal terbang yang hanya ada satu enjin berjalan, jadi KDNK Malaysia tidak dapat berjalan seperti biasa tahun lepas.
Dan Imran, kita nak lihat juga bagaimana kita dapat terjemahkan perkara ini dengan prestasi FBM KLCI baru-baru ini, memandangkan pengumuman KDNK 2023 menunjukkan pertumbuhan yang lebih perlahan berbanding 2022, tetapi FBM KLCI prestasinya melepasi paras 1,550. Bagaimana Imran?
Pasaran saham melihat ke hadapan. Jadi walaupun pertumbuhan KDNK 2023 lebih perlahan, pelabur akan lihat kepada apa yang mereka jangkakan akan berlaku pada tahun ini. Jadi untuk tahun ini, jangkaan kami, ekonomi akan tumbuh dengan kadar yang lebih baik. Di samping itu, terdapat juga faktor-faktor lain seperti jangkaan pendapatan syarikat-syarikat yang tersenarai di Bursa Malaysia, faktor penilaian atau valuation, sentimen dan juga faktor luaran. Yang penting buat masa ini adalah faktor US Fed dan jangkaan kepada bila mereka akan memotong kadar pinjaman mereka. Kami di MNDF Research menjangkakan pada separuh kedua tahun ini. Tetapi seperti saya katakan tadi, pasaran saham melihat ke hadapan. Jadi pelabur telah membuat jangkaan yang sama dan mula membeli di pasaran saham. Kita lah dari segi faktor KDNK dan juga jangkaan pendapatan syarikat, pelabur juga memberi gambaran bahawa prestasi akan lebih baik untuk tahun ini. Jadi kami tak heran FBM KLCI telah melepasi paras 1,550 baru-baru ini, walaupun semalam jatuh sedikit. Dan antara pasaran dan FBM KLCI adalah antara pasaran yang mempunyai prestasi yang memberangsangkan untuk tahun ini.
Jadi adakah Imran menjangkakan peningkatan FBM KLCI ini akan terus meningkat ataupun berterusan dalam masa terdekat? Bagaimana?
Kami jangkakan momentum ini mungkin boleh berterusan. Mungkin ada pengambilan untung sementara seperti semalam. Tapi terdapat gambaran bahawa momentum ini boleh diteruskan. Antara asas jangkaan kami adalah aliran dana masuk daripada pelabur luar. Kita tak jangan confuse, ini bukan FDI, tetapi pelabur luar yang melabur ke dalam pasaran saham. Setakat semalam untuk tahun ini, kita telah lihat aliran bersih masuk dana pelabur asing sebanyak 2 bilion ringgit. Ini satu trend yang amat menggalakkan. Kita dapat lihat bagaimana pasaran saham yang mencatatkan aliran dana keluar tahun lepas telah mula mendapat minat pelabur asing. Ini kerana mereka mencari pasaran saham yang memberi pelangan yang lebih tinggi. Jadi dengan kemasukan daripada pelabur asing, kita boleh menjangkakan bahawa momentum ini mungkin akan berterusan sehingga pihak US Fed mula memotong kadar pinjaman mereka dan kita boleh menjangkakan ia akan berterusan.
Jadi mungkin sedikit unjuranlah dari Imran sendiri, MIDF Research berkenaan prestasi KDNK dan juga FBM KLCI untuk sepanjang tahun ini.
Jadi untuk tahun ini kami menjangkakan KDNK akan bertumbuh sebanyak 4.7%. Maksudnya lebih baik daripada tahun lepas. Ini berdasarkan pemulihan perdagangan luar dan akan disokong oleh permintaan domestik yang teguh. Jadi kalau saya cakapkan tadi, dengan adanya kedua-dua enjin pertumbuhan untuk negara, di situ kami boleh menjangkakan akan kadar pertumbuhan akan lebih cepat atau akan lebih tinggi daripada tahun lepas. daripada segi perdagangan luar juga kita telah lihat bagaimana umpamanya ekspor yang baru-baru ini atau data yang baru-baru ini keluar sudah menunjukkan ada peningkatan. Ini juga bermakna dengan KDNK dengan lebih cepat, bermakna pendapatan syarikat juga akan teguh. Dengan jangkaan kami bahawa US Fed akan memotong kadar pinjaman mereka pada separuh kedua, kami berpendapat ia juga akan memberi sentimen yang positif. Jadi dengan kedua-dua faktor ini, kami unjurkan FBM Kelsia akan mencecah paras 1,665 tahun ini.
Kita nak juga mungkin nak sentuh sikit mengenai Majlis Perasmian Hub Kewangan Antarabangsa Malaysia TRX mungkin akan dirasmikan sebentar saja lagi. Jadi mungkin pandangan Imran bagaimana ia akan memberikan impak kepada pasaran FBM KLCI kita?
Sememangnya ia mungkin akan memberikan impak yang positif. Tapi kalau kita lihat dari segi umumnya, ia akan memberi sokongan lah kepada atau boost kepada sentimen positif ini, sebab sentimen positif ini boleh dikatakan telah atau sudah ada di pasaran saham. Kalau kita tengok seperti saya cakapkan tadi, kalau kita lihat dari segi fundamental seperti syarikat, pendapatan syarikat dan juga daripada segi jangkaan untuk US Fed untuk memotong kadar pinjaman mereka, ini sudah sudah memula menggerakkan pasaran saham Malaysia. Jadi dengan adanya added extra, boleh kita cakapkan bahawa ini akan memberi sokongan lebih lah kepada pasaran saham.
Baik, itu Imran Yassin Yusof, Ketua MIDF Research. Terima kasih diucapkan dan semua perkongsian ini anda boleh dapatkan di semua platform digital astroawani.com dan juga semua platform media sosial Astro Awani. Baik, saya akan teruskan dengan sekitar jam 10 pagi nanti akan berlangsungnya Majlis Perasmian Hub Kewangan Antarabangsa Malaysia Tun Razak Exchange atau TRX, dan dia akan dirasmikan oleh Perdana Menteri Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim. Jadi rakan setugas Nina Rozman ada perincian langsung dari TRX City. Silakan Nina.
Baik, terima kasih rakan tugas Nabila Khalida yang berada dari pusat penyiaran Astro Bukit Jalil. Kini saya berada di Tun Razak Exchange ataupun kita panggil TRX. Walaupun tempoh usia TRX ni dikatakan masih berusia muda, beberapa bulan sejak ia dibuka secara rasmi pada November 2023, namun ia telah dianggap sebagai lokasi iaitu gaya hidup yang bertaraf dunia, iaitu destinasi gaya hidup yang bertaraf dunia di sini, di mana ia telah menawarkan dan menyediakan pelbagai iaitu tempat hidangan makanan, restoran yang menarik, iaitu tempat rekreasi, permainan untuk keluarga dan rakan-rakan, termasuk juga dengan pusat membeli belah yang telah menawarkan lebih daripada 700 jenama terkemuka yang ada di sini. Namun tujuan ataupun agenda yang saya dan beberapa tim Awani iaitu Salihin dan juga Bik yang berada di TRX ini, kami punya agenda yang lebih besar di mana akan berlangsungnya perasmian Majlis Perasmian Hub Kewangan Antarabangsa, Hub Kewangan Antarabangsa Malaysia Tun Razak Exchange, di mana upacara perasmian ini akan bermula sekitar jam 9 pagi, dan kalau anda lihat kami masih lagi menunggu iaitu ketibaan para tetamu VIP, termasuk juga dengan Perdana Menteri dan juga Menteri Kewangan yang akan merasmikan majlis ini, dan kami yang berada di sini akan bawakan secara langsung kepada anda untuk menyaksikan sejarah yang bakal dilakar di TRX ini di tengah-tengah pusat bandar dengan pembangunan seluas 70 ekar. Dan sementara kita menunggu untuk majlis bermula secara rasmi dan ketibaan para tetamu yang terhormat, saya akan kongsikan sedikit dengan apa yang telah dikatakan oleh Perdana Menteri Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim dalam Belanjawan Madani pada 2023. Kerajaan telah bercadang untuk menjadikan TRX ini sebagai hub kewangan Malaysia, dan Perdana Menteri yang juga Menteri Kewangan turut berkata iaitu kerajaan memandatkan TRX sebagai hub kewangan antarabangsa Malaysia. Katanya beliau menambah TRX ni perlu berusaha untuk menarik industri kewangan global agar berupaya untuk menjadi iaitu destinasi utama pelaburan langsung asing yang berkualiti untuk kita tarik lagi pelaburan yang datang sini ke dalam Malaysia. Sudah tentu hari ini adalah hari yang dapat kita saksikan cadangan itu akan bertukar kepada realitinya, dan kita tahu kalau kita lihat kepada tentatif hari ini Majlis Perasmian akan bermula secara jam 10 hingga 10.30 dengan iaitu ucapan utama dari para tetamu, termasuk juga dengan Perdana Menteri Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim yang kami masih lagi menunggu ketibaannya. Sudah tentu kami akan bawakan banyak perincian lanjut mengenai acara mengenai event ini, tetapi apa yang boleh saya kongsikan setakat ini di TRX Exchange 106. Tetapi Nabila, apa yang boleh saya tambah juga iaitu selepas Majlis Perasmian ini kami akan bawakan kupasan lebih mendalam mengenai hub kewangan antarabangsa Malaysia ini bersama dua tetamu yang akan sertai saya di Exchange TRX 106 untuk kita melihat apakah langkah-langkah yang diperlukan untuk terus memacu hub kewangan antarabangsa Malaysia ini untuk menarik lebih banyak lagi pelaburan yang berkualiti di Malaysia, serta untuk menilai bagaimanakah setiap usaha ini dapat memberi impak atau memberi sumbangan kepada pembangunan ekonomi negara. Dan setakat itu saja yang dapat saya kongsikan langsung dari Exchange TRX yang kita dapat saksikan. Tidak lama lagi, iaitu lebih kurang 10 pagi akan bermula secara langsung Majlis Perasmian Hub Kewangan Antarabangsa Malaysia Tun Razak Exchange.
Baik, terima kasih Nina. Nina akan terus bawakan perkembangan terkini langsung dari TRX Exchange 106, membawakan perkembangan langsung terus berkenaan Majlis Perasmian Hub Kewangan Antarabangsa Malaysia TRX. Baik, kita akan teruskan dengan Our Planet is in Crisis, and without further decisive action, temperatures could rise from 2.2 to 3.5 degree by 2100, and in 2023 climate change prediction indicates that the likelihood of global temperatures surpassing 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels has risen to nearly 50% from 2022 to 2026. And the built environment sector generates 39% of annual global CO2 emissions, 28% from the energy needed for cooling, heating, lighting and operations, and 11% from their materials and construction, and global floor space is projected to double by 2060. 80% of all buildings today will still be standing in 2050, and the human race therefore has existential imperative to immediately address the sector's outsized contribution to global warming, as the problem will only get worse. Businesses and industries can play a role by implementing smart workplace solutions for hybrid spaces. So to discuss further, we have on the line is Adrian Pearson, the Vice President of Strategy IVIVA. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, Adrian, how would you define a smart workplace, and what are the key components that distinguish it from traditional work environments, and how does it leverage technology to optimize productivity, comfort and sustainability within a dynamic work environment?
A smart workplace is essentially where all the systems speak to each other. As you know, when you're in a building and you come in, lots of things have to happen. From using the lift to using the car park to being welcomed by someone. All of that information has to be gathered and centralized in one single way. Because otherwise, as you said, the key thing is sustainability. It's how we lower our use of energy, how we optimize our use of energy. If we go to the office, do we have to go to the office? If we go to the office, what means are we going to use to go to the office? So our system is enable the operators, the owners of buildings to optimize their systems and ensure that people have all the information they require to make better decisions, to be aware of their carbon footprint, to know when they should travel because there are less traffics or congestions, which therefore involves a better, more fluid traffic. So there's lots of things that today work in silos independently, But tomorrow we need to bring all of that information together, which is what we do at IVIVA.
All right, what compelling reasons underscore the urgency for converting from conventional workspaces into dynamic, flexible and eco-conscious settings that aligns with the evolving expectations and needs of today's workforce, and what are the driving forces behind this shift?
I think if we look at COVID was an accelerator. There was something that was going to happen, and it just happened a little quicker because COVID came in the way. So we learned to work from home, and organizations understood that their workforce were as good, if not better, from working at home. But to do that on a general basis is inefficient. If you ask all employees of all companies to come back, that's not as efficient as to say, well, some jobs can be done from home, some jobs have to be in the office, and some jobs have to be out. And going, a salesman, for example, must go and meet his clients. It's very difficult to be a salesman and do it purely remotely from home. So I think there's a shift of behavior, and technology must adapt to that. It's not just about providing tools and more apps and more phones and more data centers. It's how we use that information. There is so much data that we have to make sure that the users, i.e. you and me, employees and everyone around society uses that data to lower their carbon footprint. And we need to gamify it. What other industries have done very well is to make something relatively boring very exciting. We need to bring the carbon footprint to an exciting and fun way of understanding how can I lower my carbon footprint. And if I do that tomorrow instead of doing that other thing, then I'm going to have a better and a lower footprint. Therefore, I'm going to improve the well-being of myself, my family, my community, and essentially everyone around me. So sustainability is at the core of the transformation of the workforce, not only because companies and governments want it, but because employees and everyone needs to make an effort to lower the carbon footprint and reach the net zero carbon goals that we all have throughout the planet.
Adrian, what are the profound effects of incorporating smart workplace solutions into hybrid environments, and how do these innovations contribute to the creation of sustainable, adaptable and efficient workspaces?
Today in 2024, the central element remains cost. So we need to reduce costs. And when I say reduce cost, it doesn't necessarily mean buy cheaper things. It's to optimize what we already have. As you rightly said in your introduction, the buildings that are standing today will still be standing in 30, 40 years. So we cannot scrap what we have today and build new things, because the embodied carbon generated by doing so will actually have a more negative impact. So what we need to do is what we call retrofitting, is create new things with older things. So the buildings that are standing today, we need to improve them. And the cost reduction is we're going to take all the systems that are within that building and optimize them through IoT, through AI, through machine learning. And all of that technology, it's not going to replace, but it's going to make things that have been there for 2 decades better, operate better. And that will reduce the cost, that will optimize operations. And one key element to this is manpower. Sometimes I hear we're going to reduce manpower, people are going to be replaced by machines, but that's not it. We're going to improve how people work. So it's just shifting how we work. We didn't work the same 50 years ago, and we didn't work the same 20 years ago. And today is exactly the same thing. Through AI and ML, we're not replacing people by machines. We're just making work better and more efficient in a different way. And in 20 years, there'll be another shift. But today, we need to focus on sustainability and the built environment.
But considering the longevity of buildings and infrastructure, what strategies can be implemented to retrofit existing structures with smart technologies to improve energy efficiency and as well as reduce environmental impact?
Yeah, so the absolute key to everything you've just said is orchestration. So in a building that has been standing for many years or that has just been built, there are hundreds of different systems. There could be hardware, software, IoT. So the first thing we need to do is We act as a translator because each machine and each system has its own language. Imagine someone speaking French, English, Chinese. You need to have all of these languages translated into one. Once everyone speaks the same language, which is what we do, we bring everything through what we call APIs and different types of languages. We integrate all of that and we orchestrate it. So I'll use one very quick example. Let's say you come into your building in the morning, you're going to go and park in your car park, you're going to use the lift, you're going to use your turnstile, you're going to use your QR code, facial recognition. The lift is going to leave you at a specific floor. Everything I have just said involves many, many different languages. All of these systems speak a different language. What we do is we bring them together. We ensure it's translated on a single dashboard so the building operators and the building owners understand how much things cost, how they operate, how they can be controlled, and how can they be optimized. And the last and most important thing is predictive. What we do is, through our AI models, we predict what the building is going to do in 3 days, 3 weeks, or 3 months. And that is the absolute key to everything because it drastically reduces the expenses that are incurred by doing things inefficiently. If you know something is going to break down in 3 weeks, then your entire supply chain, your entire manpower operations, your entire cost structure changes because you know ahead of time the things that will go wrong. And that's what we're very good at. And that's where the technology is driving us through AI and machine learning.
All right, that was Adrian Pearson, Vice President, VP of Strategy, IVIVA. And you can find the full discussion on all of our Awani's digital platform and social media. But we're going to go for a short break now, but don't go anywhere. We have more updates and insightful discussion with Tamina Kausji on Niaga Spotlight after this.
Aku cipta bebas app. Masterpiece aku. App paling berkuasa pernah wujud di dunia. Ada beberapa benda yang aku sayang dalam hidup ni. Programming dan Anggun.
Hi guys, it's Anggun. Kau nak aku tolong kau jadi macam Tengku Remy dalam filem aku?
Anggun tak akan percaya aku kalau aku tak ada social media dengan followers yang beribu-ribu.
20,000 to Tengku Remy.
Rakyat tak diwajibkan untuk menggunakan bebas app lagi.
Semua staf bebas app, korang semua kena pecat, bro.
30 juta data dalam tangan aku.
This data is perfect.
Kalau nak sampai syurga, kita kena lalu neraka dulu.
Who actually are you? Tengku Remy or ID Zabran?
ID. Tayangan perdana 23 Februari on demand dan di saluran-saluran berikut.
Gelombang keempat monsun timur laut kini beralih ke selatan tanah air dengan keadaan banjir di Johor semakin meningkat.
Ekonomi Malaysia dijangka berkembang 4.5% pada 2024 dan 4.6% pada tahun hadapan.
Seorang pelajar tingkatan 5 diculik sebelum dikurung, bekas teman lelakinya dikepung.
Tiada laporan rakyat Malaysia terjejas dalam tragedi pengeboman di Kewangan Cemetery.
Kerjasama lebih erat untuk bagaimana memperkuat ASEAN. ASEAN sekarang kan di crossroad, jadi Indonesia dan Malaysia bisa menjadi pilar untuk memperkuat kesatuan dari ASEAN.
So we see a tremendous future for hydrogen to be a part of the decarbonization of the planet. At this point of time, Malaysia and India, and where we have been sort of focusing on developing projects.
Hello and welcome to Niaga Spotlight with me, Tamina Kausji. Niaga Spotlight goes through the week in business and future affairs, market watch, industries, analysis and insights. We've got you covered right here on Niaga Spotlight. Well, this week on analysis, we're looking at unified commerce and business sustainability. Now, the total internet economy for Southeast Asia is forecast to grow from about 194 billion USD to over 330 billion USD just by 2025. Now, Malaysia also comes in at 4th largest of this region's markets with an internet economy worth around 23 billion USD in 2023. Latest data also shows, interestingly enough, that 57% of Southeast Asian consumers use e-commerce marketplaces for new product discovery. 50% of us use social media channels, and 40% still rely on Google search. Today on Niaga Spotlight, our discussion focuses on the importance of digital strategy for capturing international online sales, as well as market share and the bigger picture. Yen Yi So, currently the Chief Relationship Officer of Easy Store, joins me now in the studios for the discussion. Yen Yi, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Fantastic. Thanks so much for making time. YY, may I call you that?
Sure.
Okay, so YY, tell me a little bit about, for those who may be unfamiliar with the terminology, let's get that clear first. What exactly is unified commerce, to get the ball rolling?
Sure. So I think e-commerce in particular, buying online, has evolved in such a way where we have a lot of options. Those days it was a Google search. Like you said earlier, people can now discover things via their social media. So that's a digital word of mouth. We have marketplaces, and we have so many different formats of shopping. Unified commerce basically is a business strategy that combines all the different touch points where the customer can discover, search, and find your products online. Now, as a business owner, how would you connect all these channels and be able to provide a single unified customer experience? Because it is the same customer shopping on all these platforms.
Sure.
For example, I might go into store, I see a product I like, but hey, I can't find my shoe size. I can then quickly pull up the e-commerce site, see what sizes are available, where can I pick it up, or even deliver it online. Now, as a business owner, it's important to be able to connect all of this in one place, streamline internal operations because you're sharing the same inventory, and most of all, personalize this experience for the buyer themselves.
Exactly. So it's all about all of this happening via what we call the omni-channel, right?
Yep.
And the omni-channel wise, at least, so what kind of businesses really stand to benefit the most? The size and the type, particularly what, in your experience, you have seen across the Malaysian landscape?
So in Malaysia, we have most of the businesses are what we call SME, right? Small, medium enterprises.
That's right.
Yes, and the SMEs, while they are very agile in their operations, they usually lack in resources, whether it's manpower or investment in tech. Now, imagine like selling offline. Maybe you have a physical store. Maybe upcoming Ramadan, you have a bazaar or a kiosk. You have your e-commerce, your brand.com, your marketplaces, your TikTok Live, and so on. How would you kind of combine all of this and invest people to look after each channel and also invest the tech resources required? So now with a unified commerce platform, you can kind of streamline everything in one place. So then they can exponentially grow, their presence in multiple touch points at the same time. You are touching all the customers no matter where they shop.
Exactly. So all of this sounds a lot easier said than done, though, right? And when it comes to SMEs in particular, and let's talk about perhaps the micro SMEs. Sure. Have you seen the kind of suitable uptake and adoption of this when they actually realize, all right, we best also be online, even though we're pretty successful when we do our bazaars, when we go into, the special weekend or festive-related events?
So I think for micro, usually they start as a passion business, right? So they want to know their customer, I have this great product, I really want to share it with friends. But I think what comes after that is also important, is keeping the relationship with your customers. I might see you at the bazaar this weekend, I really like your product. Let's say I bought a facial cleanser from you. Finishes in about a month or two. Okay. How do I restock? I have no idea how to be in touch. So for micro, I think their 0 to 1 might not necessarily be, hey, I need to be in all 10 channels at the same time. But what's important for them is, once I interact with the customer, can I keep in touch with the customer? That's where the technology comes in as well. So unified commerce, as big as it can scale, can also start very small, which is like, hey, when you buy from me, can I get you to join as a member for my business so I can keep in touch and keep you updated? Ideally, we are dealing with people. Even though they're customers, they're still people, and we want to keep growing this community of customers.
Exactly. So what you're saying makes so much of sense, because particularly when it comes to wanting to have the kind of sustainability with the consumer that you've already been able to establish contact with, that's one way to go about it. What are some other trends perhaps that you have noticed in this specific unified commerce arena, particularly over, let's say, the past 6 to 8 months? We're also at a very interesting juncture where basically all pandemic-related closures, etc., have finally sort of faded into the background, right?
Yep. So I think during the pandemic, accelerated e-commerce adoption for sure, right?
But only in the first half, right?
True. So everyone was in a panic. They was like, oh my gosh, you know, like...
It's expanding.
Yeah, I have to jump on the bandwagon and my business has to be online, which is great, right? So everybody had that awareness. But of course, like you mentioned, sustainability, it's an ongoing effort. It's not something that you kind of set and forget. So you sign up, you have to keep up with the technology and digital marketing trends, the channels keep changing, the algorithms keep changing. So how do you keep track of that? And post-pandemic, I think this year is a very interesting year. We're seeing all the pre-pandemic festivals, offline touchpoints come back.
Yes,
and we're having
in full force.
Yes, it's a great time to kind of interact with, hey, you know, I saw this brand on social media, I finally get to meet the founder, get to know their brand story, get to experience, because certain products you still got to be in person to experience it, for example, perfume.
Fair enough, fair enough. You may want to then go and buy what's your favorite, but you decide that in person, right?
Yes. So certainly it's got to be experience in real life, but I think the experiential experience might have changed over the years. Those days we walk into a retail store, you know, they're stocked up with a lot of SKUs, we pick it up and then, you know, we bring it home. But nowadays, it's also more kind of becoming more of a showrooming kind of experience. You go, you touch, you feel, you experience. I can place an order, but get it delivered to me. Or vice versa. I can browse online, pick up offline. And it's really up to the consumers nowadays, right? It's their choice. Where they want to browse, where they want to make the end purchase is entirely up to them.
Exactly. So from there as well, speaking about omni-channel, but at the same time though, consumers do have a tendency to follow their favorite brands, etc., on different social media platforms. So how do we get around that from a business perspective?
So of course, I believe that as a business, if you have the capacity, you should be everywhere. Because different channels and different, especially social media platforms, cater to a different buying audience. For example, some people really like to browse TikTok because they want to see the product in action. Personally, myself, I love reading reviews. I'm more of a reading person.
Sure, same. I'll look for the review first and then perhaps I'll consider it.
Yes. So you can't kind of discount a different target market or a different social media just because. And of course, as a business owner, then how do you kind of consolidate all of this, right? So imagine trying to answer all the inquiries just on one platform alone could take one person the entire day. So if you are on 10 platforms, does that mean you need 10 people? That doesn't sound very efficient in terms of operations. So with a SaaS platform, now there are a lot of aggregators. They kind of can pool all of this in one place. So that's also part of unified commerce, giving the same experience to all customers across different channels. So whether you're, you know, inquiring from TikTok, sliding into my DMs, you know, writing an email to me, to the business, all customers will experience the same response from the business owner themselves.
Fair enough. So it definitely is something for businesses to invest into and not really look at as much of an operational expense, but more of a business expenditure, right?
That's right.
Okay, fantastic. So moving along now into the interesting status that Malaysia has. So with a population of around 34 million, that places us with the 6th largest population in ASEAN. We're significantly behind, numbers-wise at least, behind even, let's say, Myanmar, Thailand, which even has 70 million. So does that actually mean there's going to be a ceiling towards the type of growth that Malaysia will be able to see when it comes to e-commerce and this side of the industry?
I think that population aside, there are many other variables that come into play, right? So for one, we talk about digital penetration and literacy. I think Malaysia stands, we're quite at the top. We have 3G, 4G, 5G almost everywhere now. It's really affordable to get connected. We have multiple options for the consumers and also for the business owners. Secondly, I think the disposable income for Malaysia compared to the ASEAN 5, our economic affluence, we are top, maybe a little behind Singapore. And I think the last one, and this is what I'm really excited about being in this industry, is we have strong government support in this space. For example, we have the National E-Commerce Strategic Roadmap. The first and second trust actually focuses on adoption and growing local businesses, which I think we have a lot of strong, interesting local businesses, local crafts, local food. Our durian is one of the biggest exports, and you know, we should tell more stories about this, right? We have a strong export opportunity with the local resources and local brands.
Exactly. So I think it's nothing to be laughed at, particularly considering the fact that we are also very active internet users, almost 90% of us, right? So when it comes to us also being active internet users, let's look at something else which is quite interesting. So it's assumed that the internet economy will assume a much larger share of the overall economy for Malaysia itself in the coming years. So what are some of the potential economic or technological spillovers if this kind of a solid expansion goes on?
I think we have, like you said, we use social media a lot. A lot of the young generation is very savvy. I think we stand to be a competitive workforce, especially in this region, right? So training them with the right skills, you know, exposing them to the right resources, I think we can be a strong hub, at least in the region, for future tech companies. So these are our future workforce. So things like the advancement of AI, I think a lot of children nowadays are having their own YouTube channels. Like kids are having like, hey, I'm unboxing this. This is my Roblox YouTube channel.
Sure.
And these are things I never thought I would do as a kid, right? Like, and these are not teenagers. They're 5, 6-year-olds hosting their own shows, and they're learning a lot of skills beyond tech. You know, how to do public speaking, for example, how to articulate their passion very well, their thought processes. I think this is a very exciting time for our nation.
Exactly. So when it comes to tech and AI especially, I think specifically what can be seen when it comes to going back to unified commerce itself, about 71% of businesses actually employ AI-enabled chatbots for instant support. Yes. So has this actually been seen to be an effective mode of customer interaction? What are some of the pitfalls and what are some ways in which it can be made even better?
So at the end of the day, every transaction we're dealing with a human. I guess like from a consumer point of view, when we call or when we engage a customer or helpline, we want to speak to a human. The chatbot can streamline and maybe make it more efficient, maybe pre-filter certain questions. We get information from the customer first so that we can better assist them. But a truly full 100% chatbot, I think, that might not work in this place. People still want to have that human touch, you know, especially in an emerging market like Malaysia. So I think we use it sparingly. We improve efficiency, but we still need the human touch, especially in the customer service area.
Yeah, definitely. Just so that you can actually maintain that presence and also not seem, quote-unquote, sombong, perhaps, in the marketplace. Okay. All right. So from there, Wai, I'd like to go into digging a little bit deeper on some of the things that have actually been done very recently, which may help to grow the competitiveness of local customers, which is, of course, consumer goods, which is, of course, the implementation, finally, of the 10% sales tax as of 1st of January 2024. Thoughts on this?
So I think, I mentioned earlier that we have very strong local products. They might not be branded for an international market, and sometimes we always feel that, oh, the grass is always greener, right, on the other side. So imported goods seems to have better quality. Not necessarily. I think, you know, with the tax, then it gives the domestic players a chance to level the playing field. So, for example, I think food is one of our strongest selling point, right?
Sure.
Local food, the local flavors, local spices, especially. Then this is something that we import a lot, but I think this is something you don't get anywhere else. So with all these taxes, I think it also creates the awareness among the local consumers that, hey, let's look inward. Let's look back at home. What do we have? Have we tried this? Instead of always like going out, or, you know, when you travel overseas, you're like, what's the local thing here that I want to buy as a souvenir, right? But how come we don't do that for our own products? So definitely, it might seem very shocking to impose this tax, but ultimately, I think it's for a better good. Yeah.
Exactly, because also it's only for goods which are valued above 500 as well. Below 500 ringgit, and then sold, of course, by registered resellers.
Yes.
So I wanted to expand the discussion on this point a little further with looking at, of course, what's happened in Indonesia. Very recently, they have finalized that they're banning TikTok Shop. And this, of course, is because consistently TikTok has continued to violate Indonesian regulations for in-app purchases. So also looking at the wider fact that TikTok Shop, especially in more mature markets such as the US, it has sort of reached that watershed level whereby people are, and a man actually did this about a month ago, he sold a used pencil. So it's come to that kind of a point whereby the platform has invested so very much in subsidizing the customer experience via discounts, free shipping, etc. It's led to a huge decline in the kind of value of products that you find online. Thoughts on this?
So I think, you know, while we are an emerging market, commerce is still, compared to the global standards, we're still relatively nascent. So brands are beginning to understand the need to implement technology. And of course, for the consumers, well, everybody loves a good discount, right? That's how we kind of start our shopping journey. But I think consumers are getting more savvy as well. With businesses and brands being on multiple channels, they now have options. They have options, and then they can actually compare. They can compare that, hey, you know, when I shop from a brand.com's website versus a marketplace, what is the difference? Once I get to know this brand a little better, why would I continue to support this brand versus just buying because there's a free shipping coupon?
Sure.
Yeah. So I think with this, yes, social media is very attractive, right? So it's a lot of music, you know, a lot of movements, a lot of memes, a lot of cartoons, right?
Very addictive, actually.
Yeah. So it's like what we call shoppertainment, right? So you kind of browse it for entertainment, but because it's so seamless, you just like add to cart, and before you know it, it's like, hey, I've got a new parcel again. And also because they make returns very easy. But that's actually hurting the business owner, right? So every time you return a product, who bears the cost? Someone has to bear the cost, and then it messes up the inventory. And then at the end of the day, it's like, is this a loyal consumer, or is this consumer really buying my product because of my product, or, you know, it was just one of those late night scrolls, right? Yeah. So I think there needs to be education on both sides for the consumers and also for the brand owners, building a sustainable business and customers spending wisely. Be more savvy where you spend and how you are spending your money, because that opens up another topic, which is scams. So
Sure.
Yeah.
This is a huge issue actually in Malaysia.
Yes. So I think the latest one that I got was an SMS from quote-unquote Post Malaysia asking you to click a link for your tracking, right? So I know I didn't buy something recently, so that could not have happened.
Yes, that's a common one actually lately, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Sometimes whether you're savvy or not is one thing. The other thing is also in the midst of, let's say you're very busy and you accidentally
absent-mindedly,
accidentally click absent-mindedly, and how do you go about it, right? So many people have fall for all this, whether intentionally or unintentionally. I think there also needs to be a lot of education to the consumer, how to protect yourself, how to protect what is a scam link and what is the legit link, right? So how do we do that? I think it's a nationwide effort among all the ecosystem players.
Exactly, and I think it has to go on continuously, and perhaps even in the near future, it could come with some sort of an embedded message on every e-commerce platform.
Yes.
Just a reminder, a gentle warning, right? Okay, so from there, moving the conversation on, YY. Now, having a national digital strategy would also allow for a much more targeted approach and pooling of resources in order to just expand Malaysia's internet economy. Thoughts, of course, on, for example, the My Digital, which is a national initiative looking towards 2030. So how ready are we for 2030 coming along? And it's no longer even very far away, already in 24. It's mere 5 to 6 years.
Yep. So I think, you know, maybe a couple of years ago, people still think digital adoption is an option.
Sure.
The pandemic clearly showed us that it's a necessity. And maybe post-pandemic, people got a bit comfortable again. And they're like, yeah, my retail's doing really good. Or, you know, I don't need to invest so much in digital. But I think that stems from not understanding why we need to invest in digital, right? So whether it's equipping your workforce, whether it's keeping your tech stack up to date so that it's protected from cyber threats. And readiness, it takes a village, right? Everybody needs to come together. It's not just people giving subsidies, it's not people just running workshops, but everyone needs to understand why they need to be a part of this. It doesn't matter whether you work in the tech industry or not. Everything is related. The moment you're connected to the internet, the moment you hold your phone, right? Like, hey, we're all in this together and we need to move together. So I think one of the things that I experienced personally in this industry is that we focus a lot of the efforts, especially the offline outreach in the peninsula. So every time we go to East Malaysia, they're like, hey, we want more of this, right? So it makes more sense for us to travel there and do the knowledge sharing rather than kind of bringing the Sabah Sarawak to Peninsula to attend the workshops.
Fair enough. You must also localize the context because, for example, Sabah and Sarawak also traditionally and unfortunately they have had continuing challenges with internet stability. Penetration is one thing, but having a stable enough connection to even do your WhatsApp to get your business orders.
Exactly. And it's interesting that you mentioned WhatsApp, right? Because we are so used to the speed of things that customers expect you to reply almost instantaneously.
Sure, unless you have an away message.
Yeah, so I think there's certain expectations from both the consumer and business owner when it comes to speed, what kind of access you have. And like you rightfully say, right, it's not consistent, consistent throughout the country. So there might be, a big group of us that's kind of left behind. And if they are left behind, then I think someone's got to, pull the weight, right? So that we can move forward together.
Yeah, exactly. And the gaps also have to be layered with not only government initiatives, but at the same time also localization. And so actually doing that kind of outreach gets you to the ground.
Yeah, it's a public-private partnership. Yeah, so not only the government, so we have ecosystem players. And it's also important to take note, to include local community groups because they have the biggest influence. So it may be your, kampong leader, or it could be a women's group leader, it could be your neighborhood's champion, right? So all of these people need to be part of the conversation as well.
Absolutely. So from there, moving along and spending a little bit of time looking at cyber threats from online scams to hacking, they've been one of the persistent concerns surrounding the internet economy. So what can businesses also best do? Because increasingly, we're also going to be having Malaysian customers using their digital banking and their e-wallets to be paying for transactions online rather than putting in their bank card details, right?
Yes. So I think this is a scary topic because a lot of people don't know what they don't know, right? So, so one is it's so seamless, it's so fast. It's scan a QR code, it's just tap your phone, right? Like for example, Apple Pay. And sometimes because it's so seamless and it just becomes a knee-jerk reaction that you kind of don't think about it, or a lot of times you're like, how much was it again? I don't remember. Did I pay for the right thing? I don't know. So I think for businesses, for tech businesses at least, we continuously invest in cybersecurity. But for smaller business, let's say I'm selling shoes, right? And I'm an e-commerce seller. I want to set up my own website. I may not necessarily know which platform provides me the security. And when something happens, I do not know who do I go to or where do I go to.
What is the SOP in case there's a data breach?
Correct. So, and because a lot of times they deal with one party, but actually as an e-commerce seller, you are dealing with multiple parties, right? It's not just the platform, it's not just a website, but there's the hosting, the domain name provider, the payments provider, logistic, and so on and so forth. So where does one get information on all of this? I think that what is lacking is also kind of a central hub for e-commerce business owners to kind of like, hey, this is my directory, for lack of a better word, where I can find all the information related to my business. And this is how I can contact the relevant parties and how do I protect myself and my business.
So that is really food for thought, a centralized sort of a hub, almost like a red room.
Yeah.
In case something does happen.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So when it comes to having policy which minimizes such threats, any recommendations?
I think this is a big topic, right? Like how do we kind of counter this, because technology is growing at an exponential rate, right? So today we might have now it's text to video AI, right?
Correct.
And then we're talking about things like deepfake and everything. So it's advancing so fast that the regulations to catch up with it might not be fast enough. And how do we know that we are ready for what's beyond this? It's kind of hard to predict. So unfortunately, I think we're kind of playing a catch-up game here, right?
Yes, a little bit.
Yeah, it happens, then we react, right? Versus the other way around, we prepare.
Having the infrastructure
already. So I think that's one of the biggest challenge. I'm probably not the right person to kind of answer this question. Cybersecurity is something I know of, but not deep enough to kind of delve into it. But those are the challenges that I see, right? And it scares a lot of consumers and business owners. For example, I'm in a lot of Reddit kind of groups, right? So they're always posting screenshots. Is this a scam? Is this a scam? and sometimes you're like, but it looks really legit, right? Like how do you know? And do people know to ask these questions, right? So maybe among the urban youth, yes. But what about maybe our parents' generation? Would they know? Would they know if they fell for a scam? So I think it's a very scary topic. I think more people should talk about it, and we should all sit down and kind of figure out something that we can do now for the future.
Exactly. So do that future planning rather than, do it when something of a crisis level happens.
Yes.
So just to round off the discussion and end it, YY, so in what ways do you recommend businesses can leverage AI technologies to expand their reach and even online sales, international sales, aside from just them being virtual assistants?
Yeah, so I feel that AI is like a very big topic. People are very excited about
Gen AI as well, because we've gone beyond just having ChatGPT, right?
Yep. So I think every day there's like a different tool out there that's AI based, right? And it simplifies a lot of work. To be honest, I use it on a daily basis. It saves me a lot of time because the speed of it is you just cannot, right? It's not humanly possible to do that. And which is great because beyond an assistant, it actually helps you analyze a lot of data very quickly, summarize in a way where it's easy for comprehension. It helps businesses make decisions way faster, so your data informed. That's number one, right? Number two is it definitely helps as for brainstorming. Sometimes you run out of content, you just kind of need to like.
I think most recently I've seen it on LinkedIn. Let us help you write your post.
Yeah. I think like most brands, social media pages now, all the content is generated by AI. But I think that is where we need to take a step back and
the fine line, right?
Yes, it is great for content generation, but at the end of the day, who is consuming this information? We're still talking to human beings, right? So I think that personal touch needs to be there. Someone still needs to step in and edit it, be the editor, make a judgment call, right? Because even ChatGPT has the disclaimer at the bottom, right? ChatGPT will make mistakes, so don't take it 100%. But it's great. It's great for speed. It's great for batch processing, analysis, and so on. Get ideas, generate ideas, kind of brainstorm, and kind of give you some sort of outline or help you align your thought processes before you make decisions.
Exactly, because you also need to have that consistent sort of social media presence. And can I end by asking you, so what ideally would a social media posting calendar look like for businesses which usually prove to be in the long term successful when it comes to unified commerce?
It's got to be the human touch, right? So you got number one, storytelling, never goes wrong. Now, how to tell a compelling story is really speaking to the customer. I'm not, the hard versus soft sell angle. Yeah, so you're trying to show what benefit can a customer get from your product or your brand versus hey, buy this because it's cheap.
Fair enough.
Okay.
All right. YY, thank you so much for the discussion. It's been very insightful indeed. So there you have it. Well, that's all we have time for today. And of course, today's topic was looking at unified commerce and business sustainability. This has been Niaga Spotlight with me, Tamina Kaushi. We'll see you next Friday with more business analysis and insights. Here's to a productive week ahead.
Saat yang dinantikan telah tiba. Malam kemuncak meraihkan anugerah digital terpaling trending. Nantikan penampilan istimewa Caleb Scott dan Melly Goslow serta persembahan para penghibur popular tanah air. Bersama penyampai-penyampai terkenal. Keempat Most Wanted Awards 2023 secara langsung 25 Februari 9 malam di Astro dan Astro Go.
Ramadan sudah menjelma. Betul ke dia orang cakap sepatu Live Mori akan bersiaran pada pukul 10?
Betul lah sebab... tak. Selalunya pukul 9 malam. Iya, kali ini...
suka-suka je dia orang main tukar-tukar kan?
Boleh sabar tak? Bagi aku cakap dulu.
Bercakap ngangkang-ngangkang mulut dia. Belum dah cukup misal dia rupa ketiak ayah tengok muka. Jangan lupa saksikan kami dalam Sepatu Reunion Live Mori
di Astro Warna dan Astro Go.
Di dalam setiap berita yang dibawa, konteks amat penting. Cara kita mendapat berita kian berubah. Melalui media sosial maupun saluran digital yang lain serta kaca TV. Kami sentiasa membawakan yang tergempar dan terkini.
Kita buat sesuatu yang berbeza.
Teraskan acuan verifikasi yang diamalkan supaya setiap fakta adalah sahih. Daripada analisis pelbagai sudut yang mendalam, laporan-laporan khas dan perbincangan yang membina negara. Inklusif, suara rakyat kami ajukan. Keseimbangan persepsi kami pastikan. Kerana setiap cerita mempunyai impak yang tersendiri dan perlu dibawa dengan penelitian yang terperinci. Pastikan Astro Awani menjadi pilihan anda tidak kira di mana sahaja anda berada. Saluran berita paling dipercayai di Malaysia.
Dua beradik bawah umur dipercayai dieksploitasi ibu mereka telah pun diselamatkan oleh pihak JKM iaitu Jabatan Kebajikan Masyarakat.
Yang di-Pertuan Agong bertitah bahawa Istana Negara tidak akan terlibat dalam sembarang percaturan politik.
KPM belum putuskan bila pelajar perlu pakai semula seragam sekolah. Pemakaian sedia ada diteruskan sehingga ia diputuskan kelak.
Dua anggota polis ditahan kerja sehinggalah siasatan kes samun dan rogol.
Assalamualaikum Terengganu. 23 Februari ini, Astro akan ke Pantai Timur. Semua dijemput hadir mengimarahkan tazkirah malam Jumaat di Masjid Kampung Tok Jembang. Majlis Ambang Ramadan bersama Ustaz Ismir Faris, Ustaz Said Muhammad Hisham Tuan Padang, Ustaz Haryanto Rizal Rokman, penyampai radio Zayan, Gegar dan selebriti kami. Rapatkan ukhuwah. Jumpa di Terengganu.
Baik, bertemu kembali dalam Niaga AWANI dan pada bila-bila masa dari sekarang akan berlangsungnya Majlis Pelancaran TRX dan ini akan menjadi bukan hanya mercu tanda tetapi Malaysia bercita-cita menjadi hub kepada kewangan global dan ini visual secara langsung yang anda boleh lihat. Ini adalah visual secara langsung dari TRX dan rakan setugas saya Nina Rozman dan juga Hasimi Muhammad akan terus bawakan perincian lanjut selepas ini. Tapi sebelum pelancaran Perasmian, saya akan bawakan perkembangan ini. Malaysia mencatatkan jumlah pelaburan yang telah diluluskan tertinggi dalam sejarah dengan 329.5 bilion ringgit pada 2023. Jumlah yang direkodkan ini adalah 23% lebih tinggi berbanding tahun 2022 yang mana ia didorong pelaburan asing sebagai penyumbang utama sebanyak 57.2% berbanding domestik iaitu 42.8%.
Perdana Menteri Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim berkata, landscape pelaburan negara yang memperlihatkan prestasi merangsangkan itu mencerminkan pemulihan dan kebangkitan semula ekonomi Malaysia sepanjang lebih setahun pentadbiran Kerajaan Madani. Ujarnya prestasi cemerlang ini disokong oleh peningkatan sebanyak 35.1% bagi pelaburan domestik dan 15.3% pelaburan asing. Jumlah pelaburan yang diluluskan melibatkan 5,101 projek dan berpotensi mewujudkan lebih 127,000 peluang pekerjaan baru kepada rakyat. Tambah beliau, secara tidak langsung ini merupakan satu petanda bahawa dasar mesra pelaburan pro-investment dan mesra perniagaan pro-business yang dilaksanakan menerusi pendekatan seluruh kerajaan whole of government telah mula membuahkan hasil dalam meningkatkan keyakinan pelabur. Berkata demikian selepas perkara tersebut dibincangkan dalam mesyuarat Majlis Pelaburan Negara bilangan 2 tahun 2024 pada Khamis.
Kadar inflasi bagi Januari 2024 bakal diumumkan tengah hari ini oleh Jabatan Perangkaan Malaysia (DOSM). Melihat kepada unjuran inflasi tahun ini, kalangan firma penyelidikan menjangkakan inflasi keseluruhan Malaysia bagi tahun ini berada dalam lingkungan 3.2% hingga 3.3%.
MIDF Research berkata persekitaran inflasi yang rendah itu berkemungkinan berlanjutan sehingga suku pertama 2024. Katanya dalam satu penyelidikan bagi separuh pertama tahun ini, MIDF menjangkakan peningkatan harga menyeluruh secara beransur-ansur susulan peningkatan kadar caj utiliti dan pelaksanaan kadar cukai jualan dan perkhidmatan SST yang lebih tinggi kepada 8.0% serta 10% bagi cukai barang nilai rendah LVGT. Pada separuh kedua, pelaksanaan subsidi bersasar bagi bahan api berkemungkinan meningkatkan harga runcit bagi bahan api itu. Kadar bulanan inflasi terkini Malaysia mencatatkan 1.5% pada Disember 2023 dengan mata indeks berada pada 131.2 mata berbanding 129.2 mata pada bulan yang sama tahun sebelumnya. Sementara itu, inflasi teras meningkat lebih perlahan kepada 1.9% pada Disember 2023 dan masih melepasi inflasi keseluruhan Malaysia pada 1.5%. Astro AWANI akan memberi tumpuan kepada data ini pada pukul 12 tengah hari nanti.
Usahawan mikro perlu mengambil peluang menembusi industri halal di Jepun dengan mengeksport pelbagai bahan ramuan untuk masakan halal di negara tersebut. Timbalan Perdana Menteri Datuk Seri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi berkata, bukan hanya produk boleh dieksport ke sana, malah ramuan untuk produk juga boleh kerana ia juga mendapat permintaan tinggi di Jepun.
Menurutnya, jumlah ekspor halal ke Jepun pada 2022 bernilai 3.6 bilion ringgit dan 1.87 bilion ringgit daripadanya merupakan ramuan untuk makanan halal di negara tersebut. Beliau yang juga Menteri Kemajuan Desa dan Wilayah berkata peluang sebegitu harus direbut memandangkan tahun depan Jepun akan menganjurkan ekspor Osaka 2025 yang memerlukan banyak ramuan halal dari seluruh dunia.
Menyentuh tentang ingredients atau ramuan atau bahan-bahan yang digunakan untuk pengeluaran. Kementerian Pembangunan Desa dan Wilayah, di mana di sana terdapat kira-kira 15,000 kampung di bawah kementerian. Satu kampung, satu produk. Jadi kita sedang menyusun agar ingredient ini dikeluarkan oleh beberapa kampung tertentu, ya, untuk diintegrasikan bagi merokai pasaran di Jepun dan negara lain. Dan kita dapati 4 contohnya serai, ya. Serai keperluan mereka adalah terlalu besar untuk penggunaan bahan-bahan kosmetik dan juga bahan-bahan perubatan herba.
Begitupun tambahnya, Malaysia tidak mampu untuk memenuhi keperluan dari Jepun dan akan berbincang dengan negara lain dalam usaha memastikan banyak bekalan dapat dihantar ke sana. Beliau berkata demikian pada sidang media selepas melawat pusat penyembelihan dan pemprosesan halal di Osaka, Jepun pada Khamis.
Dalam berita, Ahmad Zahid turut mencadangkan Malaysia melatih lebih ramai pakar dalam penyembelihan halal sekaligus membolehkan mereka dihantar bertugas di luar negara. Mengambil contoh Jepun yang mengeluarkan daging berkualiti tinggi seperti Kobe dan Wagyu, beliau berkata jumlah penyembelih haiwan untuk produk halal di negara itu masih belum mencukupi.
Mungkin saya boleh berbincang agar salah satu daripada institusi TVET kita dapat melatih penyembelih halal ini untuk ditempatkan di sini. Dan saya dapat tahu bahawa gaji yang ditawarkan sangat-sangat lumayan. Dan saya lihat dari segi teknologi penggunaan pusat penyembelihan abattoir ini sangat-sangat canggih dan sangat bersih. Dan kita belajar daripada apa yang mereka lakukan. Dan bagi saya pusat penyembelihan di Malaysia juga harus diaktifkan semula. Dulu kita dengar ada dipusatkan centralized di Shah Alam, dan kita harap usaha ini dapat dijalankan semula dengan menggunakan teknologi, kaedah dan juga cara halal yang telah diterima oleh negara-negara Islam untuk produk daging halal daripada Jepun ini, khususnya untuk daging Kobe dan juga daging Wagyu.
Tin minuman lazimnya dilihat hanya sebagai sisa buangan, namun ia mempunyai nilai tinggi apabila dijadikan sebagai bahan asas kraf. Muhammad Adika Abdul Razak yang menganggap bahan terbuang itu istimewa untuk dijadikan pameran. Orang kampung kelahiran Parit Masjid Batu Pahat Johor ini aktif menjadikan tin minuman sebagai kraf yang menjadi sumber pendapatan tambahan. Bermula 4 tahun lalu, hanya bermodalkan pisau lipat dan tin yang dikutip di tepi jalan, Muhammad Adika mencuba pelbagai kaedah agar tin kosong menjadi sesuatu yang menarik. Alah bisa tegal biasa. Luka dan calar di tangan sudah sebati buat bapa kepada seorang cahaya mata ini. Hasilnya, tin boleh dijadikan sebagai hiasan berbentuk lori, kapal layar, Vespa, basikal, kapal terbang, rama-rama dan kereta.
Kraft ni semua saya hasilkan daripada tin minuman, yang mana konsep saya lebih kepada menampakkan label minuman tu lah. Sebab ada setengah kraft dia suka campur. Jadi pada saya macam campur tu macam nak nampakkan bentuk tu susah. So jadi saya bagi yang jelas lah. Contoh macam ni kan, dia nampak jelas Nescafe dia akhir ni. Jadi kalau yang kebanyakannya yang macam ni semua campur. Jadi pada saya macam tak okey lah kot. Mungkin macam ni lagi baik lah. Saya mula-mula buat nak jadikan satu ni, kira 5-6 biji juga saya buang sebab tak capai apa yang saya nak. Macam tak, pada saya tak perfect lah. Sebab kita buat untuk orang kan. So kalau benda tu tak okey, kita tengok tak okey, orang pun mesti rasa tak okey kan. Sebab benda ni untuk pameran. Daripada saya kekemasan itu penting lah.
Walaupun secara sambilan dengan kerja hakiki sebagai pembuat besi kimpalan, Muhammad Adika mampu menghasilkan 3 kraft dalam sehari bergantung kepada tempahan. Dalam tempoh 4 tahun, kini dia sudah menghasilkan dan menjual lebih 500 pelbagai jenis kraft daripada tin aluminium terpakai.
Saya ditarget juga nak buat yang lagi besar lah daripada yang sedia ada ni. Mungkin lagi besar, lagi teliti sebab yang saya nampak dekat negara luar ni, diorang banyak je yang buat benda macam ni. So diorang buat lagi besar, lagi kemas lah daripada ni, lagi better kan. So saya rasa saya nak cubalah benda macam tu. Kebanyakan try and error. Saya nak buat robot lah. Memang saya target robot sebab dia punya single part dia tu pada saya mencabar. Tapi bila dah siap tu mungkin unik kot. Mungkin saya akan buat saiz besar lah.
Bercerita lanjut mengenai proses penghasilan, tin yang dikutip akan dicuci terlebih dahulu dan dikeringkan. Selepas kering, tin akan dipotong mengikut bentuk yang diingini dan dilipat serta digam. Menjadikan tin seumpama origami, Muhammad Adika akan mencuba menghasilkan pelbagai jenis rekaan baru. Sehingga benar-benar berpuas hati, barulah dia memuat naik hasil kerja di media sosial untuk tempahan. Baik, ketika ini berlangsungnya Majlis Perasmian Hub Kewangan Antarabangsa Malaysia, Tun Razak Exchange atau TRX, dan kita akan terus saja ikuti Majlis Perasmian tersebut.
106 TRX Signature Tower. With an area of 70 acres, Tun Razak Exchange is designed and planned as Malaysia's international financial center, as well as a world-class commercial destination located in Kuala Lumpur. It is one of the transformative urban regeneration projects that depict a bright and sustainable future whereby infrastructure has been developed to create spacious work and public spaces while offering the urban community a world-class experience. And now, ladies and gentlemen, to bless our ceremony this morning, let us join our hands together in gratitude for the mercy and abundant grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as with His permission, this ceremony can be completed successfully here today. I will now invite Al-Fadil Ustaz Muhammad Iqmal Azwar Kamarudania to lead the prayer recitation.
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وبه نستعين على أمور الدنيا والدين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين اللهم يا الله Tuhan yang memiliki kebesaran, milik-Mu jua segala keagungan dan kekuasaan. Di pagi yang indah, di bulan Syaban yang penuh keberkatan, kami bersama menadah tangan, kami merafakkan kesyukuran. Bersempena Majlis Perasmian Tun Razak Exchange sebagai hub kewangan antarabangsa Malaysia. Allahumma ya Rahman ya Rahim. On this glorious day, we are gathered here to celebrate this big moment in our nation's history with the inauguration of Tun Razak Exchange as Malaysia's international financial center. We humbly ask for your blessing to make this ceremony and Tun Razak Exchange a continuous success. اللهم افتح لنا أبواب الخير وأبواب السلامة وأبواب الصحة وأبواب النعمة وأبواب البركة وأبواب القوة وأبواب المحبة والمودة وأبواب الرزق وأبواب العلم وأبواب المغفرة وأبواب الجنة. اللهم يا Allah, we thank you for bestowing us with your barakah and blessing from the first day we broke down in year 2013 up until today, where we inaugurate Tun Razak Exchange as Malaysia's international financial center. Ya Allah, Ya Wahhab, Ya Razak, the giver of gifts and the provider of rizqi. We humbly ask for your continuous blessings in our pursuit of success and prosperity for all of us as the community here at Tun Razak Exchange. May all of us be granted strength, perseverance and guidance in performing our role to realize the vision for TRX as an economic enabler for our beloved country, Malaysia. Oh Allah, Ya Zal Jalali wal Ikram, the Master of Power and Glory, please bless our Malaysia Madani. Grant us your grace, easy our journey, enlighten our difficulties with your rahmah. Oh Allah, bestow us success in all our future endeavors, and bless the work of our hands, Ya Allah. Allahumma ja'al jam'ana haza jam'an marhuma wa tafarruqana min ba'dihi tafarruqan ma'suma wa la shaqiyan wa la mahruman wa la matruda. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina azaban nar. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa baraka wa sallam. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.
Amin, amin, ya Rabbal Alamin. Thank you, Al-Fadil Ustaz Muhammad Iqmal, for reciting the prayers. And may this event and its attendees be blessed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most gracious, the most merciful. To continue this ceremony, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite the person who is instrumental in building this district, Dato' Azmar Talib, Chief Executive Officer of TRX City Sdn Bhd, the master developer of Tun Razak Exchange, to say a few words.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. And a very good morning. Yang amat berhormat Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, Prime Minister of Malaysia, honourable guests, esteemed partners and colleagues. A warm welcome to all on this momentous occasion to celebrate the launch of TRX as Malaysia's International Financial Centre. We start with Islamic finance. First and foremost, I would like to convey my deepest gratitude to Yang Amat Berhormat Dato' Sri Anwar Ibrahim for gracing us with his presence today for this event. My team and I have been part of the major undertaking from the start to create a world-class international financial center and economic enabler that will position Malaysia's capital as a global city to spur economic growth and attract the best talent. Today, I stand before you with immense pride. I believe that TRX is Malaysia's resounding statement to the world that we can deliver on our commitments. Ladies and gentlemen, we are well on our way to achieve our target gross development value of 40 billion Malaysian ringgit, and we have attracted over 8 billion Malaysian ringgit of investments into TRX, and that is part of the 12 billion Malaysian ringgit that have been spent by the plot developers. Over and above that, we, as a master developer, have spent about 3 billion ringgit on infrastructure, and we hope that it will actually we will be able to stand a long test of time. Our list of tenants and investors is reflective of this vote of confidence. Within 5 years of operations, we have already surpassed 30,000 people working in TRX, and of which 20,000 are knowledge workers. From HSBC to Prudential to Afin and Huawei, as well as the new luxury retail brands that have set up here. Over the last 10 years, we have already delivered about 6.5 million square feet of grade A office space and about 2.5 million square feet of retail space. We also have about 1,600 residential units that will be completed middle of this year. Our buildings are mostly for owner-occupier or single tenant. In fact, this tower, that is Exchange 106, is the only building in TRX that was purpose-built for leasing. I am happy to report that district-wide office occupancy in TRX is expected to hit 70% before the end of this year, on top of the current 100% retail mall occupancy that we have already enjoyed. Patrons of TRX can experience a high level of service and the best convenience in the city. TRX is not just another real estate development, but is a green ISC that is a national aspiration for the country. It is the result of a carefully thought out master plan for a district that is well connected, smart, safe and secure, sustainable, and features world-class infrastructure and built environment. These qualities are what help us fast-track our commercialization and secure internationally recognized brands that have brought along good investment value. From the start, we have wanted TRX to not just be a business center, but also the social heart of Kuala Lumpur. The opening of the Exchange TRX and TRX City Park in November further extended our reach to a wider spectrum. The Exchange TRX welcomed over 1 million visitors in the first week of its opening. This pushed the MRT single-day ridership to TRX MRT station to come to close to breaking 60,000 riders per day in December 2023. I share these numbers with you with a lot of pride, but also with great humility. As I recall how we first started when we sketched out our vision, thinking out of the box to get the support of the many stakeholders. We knew we wanted to change the city for the better. Alhamdulillah, we have achieved to a certain extent of that. And we aspire to have a livable and sustainable IFC. Nearly a quarter of the district is dedicated to our public realm, with green open plazas, pocket parks, and at the heart of it all is a 10-acre TRX City Park, a public park which is our gift to the people of Kuala Lumpur, which we will surrender to the BKL and eventually assigned back to us for management. We are green not only in how we look, but also how we operate. Sustainability has been embedded in our master plan from inception, and as a result, TRX has been certified by both LEED and GBI. Beyond the bustle of towering skyscrapers and speed of business, we also want to change how people move, meet, and connect. We dream of a walkable district, one that is welcoming and open and brings its surrounding neighborhood together. Our journey thus far has been a testament to the dedication of our workforce, the strength of our relationship with our esteemed partners in the various government agencies as well as the private sectors. Besides the trust bestowed upon us by our valued shareholder, that is Ministry of Finance, as well as our valued investors. Thank you very much for your unwavering support, which has been instrumental in our success in creating a district that is sustainable, lively, and inclusive. We believe TRX represents what Malaysia needs: a modern, vibrant, international address that fosters the convergence of great business minds to shape the future. Together, we have created a place that not only redefines what this city can be, but also reshapes the future of Kuala Lumpur. Welcome to TRX, Malaysia's International Financial Center. As I said, we start with Islamic finance. And with that, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big round of applause to Yang Berbahagia Dato'. I'd like to say this and take this opportunity as well. Yang Berbahagia Dato', thank you, and thank you for sharing the journey of TRX from the very beginning to this present day here. And what started, as you mentioned before, as just a dream over a decade ago, and now we have transformed IMBI into the stunning financial center that we see here today. Again, let's give a round of applause to Yang Berbahagia Dato'. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, now comes the most anticipated part of the event. It gives me the greatest of pleasures for me to invite our Prime Minister, Yang Amat Berhormat Datuk Seri Anwar bin Ibrahim, to deliver his speech and inaugurate Tun Razak Exchange as Malaysia's International Financial Centre.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan salam sejahtera. Alhamdulillah, nahmadu wa nusalli ala rasulil karim. Saudara Menteri Datuk Seri Amir Hamzah, Saudara KSP, Datuk Johan, Yang Berhormat, tuan-tuan terutama para duta, Datuk Azmar dan seluruh keluarga TRX, dan tetamu yang saya muliakan. Pada hari ini tentunya satu penghormatan kerana kita melakar sejarah yang bermakna kerana Malaysia telah dapat menyaksikan satu lagi bercutanda yang penting, iaitu sinergi di antara kecanggihan dalam pembinaan yang sesuai dengan tuntutan zaman, tetapi mengambil kira tekanan kebudayaan dan apa yang diungkapkan sebagai lebih prihatin dan inklusif. So it gives me real pleasure to be here today to thank Dato' Azma and the TRX family. This enterprise is, of course, very challenging for an emerging economy, but we have witnessed the ability of Malaysians to craft a program and to execute an enterprise, a building, TRX Exchange, which could fulfill the requirements of the present challenge, a more sophisticated building, IT-friendly, a later state-of-the-art, at the same time mindful of the fact the major criticism of buildings and development of cities considered to be culturally barren, not friendly to the environment, and not inclusive. So I salute TRX Exchange, Dr. Azma and the family, for this enterprise. It is highly sophisticated, it is challenging, it is environmentally friendly, it is not culturally barren, looking at the environment, and it is inclusive, particularly with the collaboration with the Dewan Bandaraya. And I've also entrusted Dewan Bandaraya to ensure that in the fringes, enough attention is given to the general public, not only in terms of the park, but in terms of food stalls that could be utilized and would benefit the poorer segments of our community. And thank you very much for this understanding. Now, this is of course a challenging task, because in the Madani economy, one of the thrusts is of course to enhance the position of Malaysia, to be competitive again, and to be a center, a major financial center in the region. And to that effect, we have also embarked on a very aggressive policy to ensure that Malaysia be able to be considered a major center for Islamic halal and also financial activities in a different connotation, not necessarily tied to sophisticated financial instruments and banking of the past, but to be mindful of the fact that in these days and age, Islamic financial center is not only to ensure that the instruments are Islamic in the sense that and using present-day instruments focus purely on finance and banking, but to also consider the participation of Muslim countries, with huge capacity in financial instrument alone, translates beyond $1 trillion, but to also be able to integrate with the other players in terms of our effort in ensuring success in energy transition, in digital transformation, and also food security. The Madani economic framework, for example, represents a holistic strategy devised to reinvigorate Malaysia's economic landscape. This initiative not only addresses existing challenges, but also focuses on key areas for sustainable growth and resilience. It aims to bolster Malaysia's economic standing on a global scale, navigate the complexities of the global landscape, and ensure the nation's adaptability and resilience through enhanced competitiveness. There is a strategic emphasis on fostering innovation and entrepreneurship, promoting robust and inclusive economic growth, and ensuring the equitable distribution of benefits. SMEs are encouraged to adopt technological advancements and streamline regulatory processes. Now, it places importance on managing inflation, optimizing labor market dynamics, and fortifying the nation's financial sector. These measures are instrumental in sustaining economic momentum while fostering an environment conducive to both domestic and international investment. Now, by consolidating these efforts and capitalizing on Malaysia's strength, including foreign reserves, capital markets, and favorable economic indicators, the Madani economy endeavors to usher in a new era of economic resilience and progress for the nation. The Madani administration is taking a whole-of-government approach in achieving a common goal. For example, the Ministry of Finance sets the measures and the budget to kickstart Malaysia's journey towards realizing Ekonomi Madani's vision. The ministry is also guided by the Public Finance and Fiscal Responsibility Act 2023 to ensure prudence in our pursuit of economic growth. Now, rarely do you find the Treasury prepared to willing to embark on this very tough measure, because actually what it means, and I told my colleagues in Parliament, is surrendering part of the power of the Minister of Finance to Parliament, and sometimes we get hell as a result. But this is, I think, a particularly pertinent move, a critical move to ensure that there is accountability and clarity of policy that we must adopt and execute. At the same time, the MOF works hard hand in hand with the Ministry of Economy to decide the country's economic trajectory. Of paramount importance to the near-term fiscal recovery is the subsidy targeting exercise, which the MOF, the Ministry of Economy, are responsible. MITI leads the consolidation of Malaysia's investment promotion agencies to streamline the process of courting investments, enhance ease of doing business. I must commend MIDA, MITI, and of course all the related agencies, because the ability to elevate our next FDI from 3.1 billion ringgit in the second quarter of 2023 to 17.1 billion ringgit in the fourth quarter. Kudos to MITI for successfully forging a strategic partnership with the UAE to advance digital infrastructure development. The Madani government is also working on rehabilitating Malaysian cities' livability standards and infusing more cultural activities into these cities. Putrajaya will be turned into an exemplar for a low-carbon city as government efforts are underway to use renewable energy sources there for electricity generation. As the country's international financial center, TRX enjoys special status. With this status, the government has provided a slew of incentives for companies moving their base here. These encompasses an industrial building allowance, tax exemption on 70% of the statutory income for a period of 5 years for property developers, stamp duty exemption on loan and services for TRX status company, and an income tax exemption of 100% for a period of 10 years. Now, having said that, I have a major problem of seeking ways to increase revenue. Throughout history, every single step forward, new buildings, new processes, and especially changes in society has been challenged. This is for one simple and powerful reality, that change is hard. Change isn't easy. Some of you may be familiar that this Mandiri government, the last year or so, has been clearly tough to ensure that we return and practice and observe the rules of good governance and zero tolerance for corruption. We have taken very tough measures, very unpopular, but I think they would ensure the success of Malaysia to be not only a major hub for financial center in the region, but to my mind, the raison d'etre of any leadership and government is to ensure that they serve the nation and do not use power to enrich themselves by squandering public wealth. Now, with the Madani economy, the nation has embarked upon building a new architecture for a more open, transparent, and competitive Malaysian economy, to create a future where every Malaysian has an opportunity to get a good job, a high-paying job, and to prosper. And to our nation, for our nation to come together as a united Malaysian nation, irrespective of race, creed, or religion. For us to succeed in today's global economic environment and win the future together, we must move forward. Together, with the steadfast support and partnership of the business and financial community, I am convinced, inshallah, we will succeed. On that note, it gives me again great pleasure to launch the Tun Razak Exchange as Malaysia's international financial center. Terima kasih.
Thank you, Yang Muhammad Astro. Yang Muhammad, I'd like to kindly ask you to remain on stage at the center. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, for the next part of our event, I would like to invite all of our honorable guests, as well as all of our esteemed investors, to join Yang Muhammad, Prime Minister of Malaysia, for the next part of our event. I'd like to also invite all the members of the media to take your place at the center here to record this moment right here. And ladies and gentlemen, this is the moment that we have been waiting for the officiation of the inauguration here today. And as we wait for all of our investors to take their place, members of the media, you may do so as well to record this moment. Yang Amat Berhormat, Datuk Seri, for us to officiate the inauguration here today, you will need to place your hand at the back screen. There will be a logo of TRX. Once you place it on my count, we're going to do a countdown. So I want to ask, Yang Amat Berhormat Datuk Seri, are you ready? Perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, on my count, in 3, 2, 1. Let's give a round of applause. Yang Amat Berhormat, please view the officiation video at the screens in front of you.
Razak Exchange is a testament of the nation's bold ambition realized. Iconic public grounds, seamless connectivity, smart and sustainable design come together to create Malaysia's first international financial centre. Home to a thriving community of global professionals and Kuala Lumpur's new vibrant social heart. As we write the next chapter for the nation's future, what started as a unified dream is here to carry us further. The higher we go, the deeper our roots, the bolder our dreams. We are TRX.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a thunderous applause and congratulations to TRX. Thank you, Yang Berhormat and honoured guests. Ladies and gentlemen, with that, Tun Razak Exchange has been inaugurated, and I'd like to invite Yang Berhormat to remain standing at your seats together with our honourable guests, as well as our esteemed investors. And ladies and gentlemen, and to the rest of our guests, please stand and come nearer to the main seats here, the main center of the seats here for this photo. Members of the media, get ready. Let's get more and more to come forward. Don't be shy, and of course,
Sepatah dua.
Ada soalan?
Sikit ya?
Ini penting tadi tu.
Dato' Sri, what do you say about the comment on the ringgit these days? What the government doing?
Okay, let me say this.
Okay, kejap.
Relax bang.
Dia tadi when I said
Kejap.
Siapa tu pegang mic? Kat dulu.
Trade Minister was supposed was saying that. Because the governor told me he's coming out with a full statement. So I said, leave it to him. No. Okay, it's concerning. We're looking at it. And luckily it's strengthened a little. But look at the overall. You see, investments, the biggest ever in the country. Inflation down. Unemployment down. Growth we can sustain as compared to our neighbours. So I think look at the comprehensive view and the capacity for the country to grow. And what is most to me reassuring is the investment figures. Now, if it is a sign, they always compare to 98. 98, ringgit was down, inflation up, unemployment up, and no investments. So, of course, we have assigned the central bank to continue to monitor. As you know, it is the field of competence of the central bank, but it's affecting all countries, right? But what's important to us is to focus on what we can do, what we should do, and we're doing it on a daily basis. Yesterday was the meeting on the investments council, and today on the TRX. We're going back again for Nicole meeting this afternoon. So we're not ignoring or taking it lightly. It's a daily effort to make sure that things work. Okay?
Any contingency plans ada tu? Contingency plan yang di case we.
Tak ada, because selalunya ya ringgit ada kesan lah. Ya. Dan saya tidak mahu mengatakan dia tidak harus dipantau oleh bank negara. Tetapi ekspor itu baik. Kalau saya jumpa syarikat-syarikat yang ekspor, dia sangat senang. Tetapi sebaiknya ringgit itu terkawal. Tetapi mengapa harus dilihat hanya dari segi ringgit dan dibandingkan dengan 98 seperti mana saya sebut tadi, ringgit jatuh, pelaburan jatuh, inflasi naik. Jadi dia tak sama. Sekarang ini pelaburan kita, angka terakhir yang diumumkan semalam selepas mesyuarat Majlis Pelaburan Negara, itu tertinggi dalam sejarah Malaysia. Kalau keyakinan itu kurang kerana ringgit, dia tidak akan ada pelaburan seperti ini. Pelaburan tertinggi dalam sejarah. Dan hari ini, semalam mesyuarat pelaburan, hari ini TRX, petang ini Nakor. Jadi kita akan terus hari-hari pantau, termasuk pos sara hidup. Kerana saya pergi dalam perbincangan apapun, kita harus beri tumpuan tentang kesan kepada kehidupan rakyat.
Datuk Sri berkenaan dengan TAT, Datuk Sri, ada komen mengenai penetakan ramai ALP.
TAT itu sedang dikendali oleh Menteri Berkenaan, Menteri Pertahanan, dan akan dilapor ke Jemaah Menteri. Itu mesyuarat petang ini. Dia masalah jangan bincang soal beras ya. Kerana inisiatif yang dibuat itu menjual ikan, ayam, daging, sayur, itu harga yang lebih murah. Jadi tapi pengumuman tentang harga terutama beras mestilah pengumuman kerajaan. Ya. Jadi kalau ada cadangan-cadangan tersendiri, itu negara demokrasi boleh, tetapi tidak merupakan keputusan kerajaan. Kerajaan keputusan petang ini. Okey? Terima kasih.
Terima kasih.
Itu je. Nak tanya soalan lain tak ada lah.
Ha?
Tak ada soalan lain tak?
Sorry.